Joining me is Yan Liang. She's an associate professor of economics at Willamette University. Yan, I was struck by that first story in this broadcast about the restaurants reshuffling their staff. I wonder if this is something that could or would happen in the U.S. You teach economics. Is there something specifically about the Chinese economy, do you think, that allows for this sort of swift action?
Yes, I think the Chinese economy has been very resilient so far. I'm cautiously optimistic that, the virus will be contained soon, based on the experience with SARS and also, the decelerating numbers of confirmed and suspected cases. But the short-term impacts are very severe, and but yet the Chinese economy, yes, is holding up quite well so far. The tourism, movie theaters, and transportation, energy sectors are really hard hit, but they are trying ways to cope. So I'm optimistic if the virus is contained and things would start to pick up, then it would be better for these industries and also production as well. The lockdown and the restrictions on people movements have affected more than 500 million Chinese. And so a lot of production is put on standstill or significantly curtailed. But again, like I said, I think the economy fundamentals are still sound, and the government is trying every way to help. And I'm also hoping that because this is a global challenge, that all countries and international organizations can work together and trying to combat this common enemy.
You quickly listed some of the sectors that have been affected by this, but behind all those sectors, of course, are people. Are there measures being put in place that you know of to financially help the Chinese people absorb some of these losses? And if not, what sort of measures, if any, would you suggest?
Well, this is a great question. You're right. People are the ones that are being affected. There are some silver lining here. According to a recent survey of 995 enterprises in China, around 85% of them said they still have enough cash to sustain for about 3 months. And only 20% of these businesses said that they have a plan to either lay off workers or reduce the payrolls. But the great majority of them are trying to find other ways to cope, including raising funds from banks or any other places. So for the Chinese government, for the monetary policy, they have tried to inject some liquidity in the amount of about $243 billion through the so-called reverse repo. So this would help, at least temporarily, to give some relief for those cash-strapped businesses. And also on the fiscal policy aspect, the government has allocated some more funds, about $107 billion, to local governments, again, to help them to cope with the economic downturn. Now, I would like to see a bit more fiscal transfers and some more direct tax cuts, waivers of fees, and also some consumption subsidies to the individuals.
Much of the world's economy depends on China's economy. Could we see a domino effect here?
Absolutely. I mean, China has been playing such a weighty role in the global economy. It accounts for about 16% of the global GDP and has contributed around 30% to the global GDP growth since the global financial crisis. So if China catches the pneumonia, the rest of the world gets a cold. I mean, we see, tourism declines in countries like Australia and Thailand. And we also see, production basically is disrupted for companies like Apple, Starbucks, McDonald's, Hyundai, you name it. So I think it's very significant that all these countries need to work together, flex their policy muscle in order to cope with the economic downturn.
All right, Yan Liang from Willamette University, thank you for joining us.